Ladies and gentlemen, please click your heels because we're not in Kansas anymore. We have Mr. Nick Holekamp.
What does the inside of a hospital look like through the eyes of a child? I'm a pediatrician, and I've spent most of my career taking care of really sick and medically complicated children who have to spend long periods of time in the hospital. So I've thought a lot about what that environment, what impact that has on these kids. Kids like Lisa. Lisa was born with very serious, life-threatening heart defects. She spent the first 14 months of her life in the intensive care unit, and after many trips to the operating room and 3 open heart surgeries, she was stuck on life support. She needed tubes and machines to feed her and to breathe for her. But at that point, there was really nothing more that could be done for her medically or surgically to actually help her get better. So her family and her care team made the very difficult decision to make her a DNR, a do not resuscitate, a no code, which basically means letting nature take its course. Lisa is like a growing number of children, about 1 out of 100 kids referred to as children with medical complexity. But this tiny fraction of young patients accounts for about 1/3 of all the medicines and equipment and procedures and hospital care used to treat all the children in this country. Thousands of kids like Lisa, who have survived the worst that nature can dish out, spend many months and sometimes years in intensive care due to their reliance on technology and medical support they simply can't get at home. And since they're mostly hidden inside hospitals, they're almost invisible to the 99% of us who don't have or know a child like Lisa. Most of the kids I take care of now wouldn't have even survived when I started my training almost 40 years ago. I'm older than I look. They need to be near the oxygen and the suction, the wall gases in hospital rooms. They need to be within arm's reach of the nurses and the respiratory therapists just to keep them safe and to keep them alive. What does that look and feel like from Lisa's point of view? More important, how does that affect how she grows, develops, and learns how to interact with the world? Folks in my business have essentially 2 big and important jobs. They're equally important. Job number 1, keep the baby alive. And job number 2, make sure we get every child successfully to adulthood, to ensure that they have all that they need to live lives of purpose and love and connection. The human brain is the only machine in the universe that wires itself through sensory connections with the environment. I worry that we're not paying enough attention and supporting and nurturing the most important organ in the child's body. I also believe we need to hold ourselves accountable for and take notice of and address the fact that up to 80% of these kids, 80% end up with significant developmental delays. How might we make hospitals more developmentally stimulating? You need a timeout, go to your room. That's how we punish children. How do we make hospitals, being in a hospital, less punitive and isolating? We'd have to imagine a hospital that had all the elements to keep kids safe and be a place where kids want to be to get better, a place that inspires them to get up and out of bed. In 2004, we opened this very unique hospital, a bridge hospital for children, so we could take care beyond the bedside. It's a hospital where play is the central therapeutic element, and I believe Lisa's most important and effective treatment. There's even a playground in the middle of the building. She needed to get up and out of bed to make up for the time she'd lost when she was so sick. She needed places to go to learn to communicate and begin to eat by mouth and to sit up and stand and walk and even dance. She needed play to make her strong enough to get off the ventilator and breathe on her own. Giving her opportunities she wouldn't have had anywhere else is what I believe made the rest of her recovery possible, and why she didn't die like everyone expected, why her DNR order was reversed, and why she now lights up the room with her smile and energy. It's one of only a handful of pediatric post-acute care hospitals in the country, and it's the only one I know of anywhere that uses care beyond the bedside, our unique and innovative model of care, to get every child up and out of bed and out of the room safely every day. First, do no harm. It's one of the fundamental tenets of medical ethics, and it's part of the oath every medical student takes when they become a doctor. I believe we're inadvertently causing harm by leaving these kids in their beds, in their rooms all day while their childhood rushes by. I also believe we could see significant physical, behavioral, developmental progress and benefits from getting these kids up and out more. The more you do, the more you can do. That's our slogan. To me, it's obvious. Lying in bed is no way to get better. Lisa couldn't even sit up on her own when she first got there because she spent her whole life to that point lying in bed. But do no harm also means that we have to do everything we can to keep these kids safe wherever they are. So we take whatever they need when they are in bed with them wherever they go. We take the ventilator and the feeding pump and the suction machine and the oxygen in a tank and extra supplies in case there's a problem. It's like an ICU on wheels. We practice mock code so that every employee knows exactly what to do in an emergency anywhere on campus, inside or out, and we have a sophisticated infection prevention strategy to keep these kids safe. Remember, do no harm. We wanted to see if our care beyond the bedside model was of genuine benefit. And since nobody's ever studied where hospitalized children are or what they're doing, because, well, in other hospitals, we know where they are. We did our own study. We followed Lisa and kids like her from sunup to bedtime and recorded everything about where they were, what they were doing, who they were with, everything. We found that our patients were out of bed nearly half of their waking hours and out of their rooms about 2 hours per day. That's unheard of in any hospital I know of that takes care of infants and toddlers on life support. Lisa was out of her bed about 5 hours that day, out of her room, in fact, and she got to go to physical and occupational and speech therapy. She got to go to the music room. She got to be an artist. We make possible for these kids everything they'd be doing at home if they could be at home. Play baseball, swing on a swing, gardening activities, pool therapy. There's even a climbing wall for older kids. Just play. But the data also showed that our littlest patients spend roughly 5 hours of awake time in bed. That's not good enough. What parent of a non-hospitalized child would put up with that? We have to figure out how to do better. So the Committee to Assure Neurodevelopmental Optimization Remember, the more you do, the more you can do. That group who ran the study wanted to figure out how to do better. We created the first, and as far as I know, the only, in-hospital, structured, group developmental programming for medically complex kids ages 5 and younger, and it's staffed by educators and therapists and volunteers, and it has a schedule and a theme of the week, and the schedule includes music and art and letters and numbers and shapes and colors. It's preschool. What a concept. Our patients go there to optimize their neurodevelopmental recovery, to offset the insult of a developmentally stifling environment added to the injury of medical complexity. We named it the optimization zone. Our patients go to Oz to make their hearts stronger, to make their brains smarter, and to gain the courage to find their way home. Late last year, Lisa finally got to go home. The fact that she's a happy, thriving member of her family is nothing short of miraculous. She has an unresolved heart condition that means her life expectancy is probably much shorter than normal. All the more important then that we did everything we could to maximize her quality of life. To make more stories like Lisa's, I believe all we have to do is pay attention and look at things from the child's perspective. And then consider the children first in everything we do. Imagine hospitalized children everywhere, standing sooner, walking earlier, ditching their machines, playing like other children, with other children while they recover. Imagine them being reunited with their families sooner. That's what we all want. And because of Oz and Care Beyond the Bedside, we get to see that every day. We get to see that every day. I think we're really onto something, and we need to get the word out to make this possible everywhere as soon as possible for all of these children. Thank you all.